Greetings to the Gullah virtual 3D healing exhibition. I am Sabree, and I am a Gullah. But what is Gullah? Gullah is the people, it's the language, it's the culture, and it's well over a 400-year-old culture derived from West Africa. When our ancestors were first brought from West Africa, we were placed in the coastal areas. And those areas would be, of course, Savannah. You have Louisiana, New Orleans, Virginia, Jacksonville, Florida, Wilmington, North Carolina, South Carolina, and the likes. But many of us were displaced, so therefore, there was a lot of culture blending. So therefore, other cultures are connected to the Gullah. Spanish, Puerto Ricans, Mexican, Cuban, Colombian, Haitian, French, Latino, Brazilian, and the list goes on and on. They're connected to the Gullah because they're connected to West Africa. The purpose for us putting together the 3D Gullah Healing exhibition, first, we wanted to help to preserve the Gullah culture, to enlighten the listening audience as to what is Gullah. And also we wanted to give back to the community because there were many events, Gullah events that were taking place. One in particular was the Beaufort Original Gullah Festival. This festival would have brought in a lot of revenues for many different businesses who were very dependent upon the festival. And of course, it gave a lot of history and a lot of culture to the community. So with this 3D exhibition, we would like to give 10% of all the proceeds. And so here we go. The thing about the Gullah healing is that many of the ancestors would use different types of plants and trees in order to heal themselves. Back in the day when the settlers, the white settlers, were first in America, smallpox and other types of diseases broke out. And so many of them left, and then the Gullah people were left behind to fend for themselves. And that's one of the reasons why we were able to acquire the land. But then once that time frame had passed, they returned. And so many of the land at that point in time was taken away. And to this very day, many of the Gullah territories, a lot of the land is dwindling away as we speak. And so the Gullah healing, the way many of the Gullah people were able to heal themselves, once again, it was by using many of the things that they knew about from West Africa, such as the cotton, the Spanish moss, the rice, and the list goes on and on. We're going to navigate you through this Gullah healing exhibition and tell you about each and every piece, and hopefully you will gain some insight and maybe also realize that we are more connected than not, and that many of us are Gullah. We first start off with gratitude. Many of my art pieces, they do come with the stories. And as you know, when it comes to Gullah art, it tends to tell the stories. The colors are usually very bright, very bold. And many times the pieces are also featureless for a couple of reasons. Number one, it could represent anyone. And also because of the spiritual connection, it is believed that once the eyes are open, you are opening up to other worlds and other entities. This piece is called Gratitude, and here you have a beautiful woman in a white dress. She has a container, and in the container is sand. And what she is doing is that she is sprinkling the sand on the earth. And by doing so, that is a way to honor your ancestors and to also show gratitude. Behind her are the ancestors, and the ancestors are also the stars that are in the sky at night that we see and sometimes don't see, but they're there. Gratitude. As we navigate, we'll come to also the goddesses. In the Gullah culture, you have your gods and your goddesses. Once again, we're very spiritual people. We're also very religious people as well, but more spiritual. And so the goddesses that you see right here, it's one and the same. This is the goddess of Oshun. Oshun means ocean. It can be spelled in many different ways. So she brings about solace and peace. She is also a fertility god as well. She brings you a lot of fortune. Her color is yellow, and yellow is a very high vibrational color. And yellow also corresponds to gold because it is a lighter shade of gold. And so Oshun, it is believed that when you see sunflowers, when you see bees, those are symbol of Oshun. And so Oshun will calm you in any kind of storm. Oshun. Next we have Yemaya. It is believed that Yemaya is the mother of Oshun. She had many different daughters. And so Oshun is one of them. And so Yemaya, her name is spelled or said many different ways. Yemaya, Yemoja, Lasiren, and the list goes on depending on your culture. And so her color is blue, and blue corresponds with the water. Again, her number is 7 and also 10. Those numbers are completion. Now, Yemaya is the mother of the sea, of the earth. And it is believed that no life can exist without Yemaya. Now, she is so powerful until many big companies are using her as a logo. And one such company is Starbucks. So oftentimes when you see Yemaya or Yemoja or the siren, you will also see dolphins, you will see nautical themes, you'll see the seashells. And with this piece, what I did is that I really went in deep and I contoured the piece by using the fishnet. I dyed it in blue, and I put all kinds of jewels all on her dress. And I also put many different types of designs inside of her braids or her hair. Yemaya, very powerful goddess. This piece right here is called Honor. And here we have a young girl. She's also a goddess as well. The goddess of Oba. And Oba is a river god. And also gratitude. She is also Oba as well, a river god. She is the sister of Oshun. She is the daughter of Yemaya. This little girl is dressed in white and she has white flowers and she's walking through a field. On both sides of her is the sweet grass. And in full bloom, you'll see the purple tip. And she's walking towards the water. And this is her way of honoring the ancestors. And you could see that she is on a mission and she is very determined to get there. Honor. Next, we have Queen of the Moment. Queen of the Moment is about a woman who had sacrificed everything. She had sacrificed so much until all the colors were stripped away from her. And she grows a moon of reflection around her. But now this is her time to shine. And she is so captivated by the fact that she has finally arrived at this moment that she sinks into the satin sands and she gives thanks for this moment. The original for this piece has been sold, so this is a limited edition. It comes in a set of 250, so it will be numbered. On the back, it comes with a certificate, and of course, with most of my artwork, we do have the story and or descriptions. And this was the first black and white piece that I have ever done. And also let me note that in any of the pieces, if you would like to learn more about them on your own and go back to recapture some of the things that I've said, all you have to do is just tap on the picture itself. And then also just look for the icon, and it's a little eye. You tap on that, and it gives you all the information that you could ever want to know about any of the pieces. And we're moving right along. And let me add also that notice that the background color for the gallery, 3D exhibition, is in red. And again, Gullah people were noted for our bold, bright colors because it reminds us of joy and happiness, because nothing could shake or break the spirit of the Gullah people. So it only makes sense to have such a vibrant color in the background to go along with the vibrant artwork. The next piece that we have is called Believe. Our children are some of the most important and biggest visionary, and they will tell you from day one exactly what they're going to be and who they're going to be. And somewhere along the way, we beat the dream out of the dreamer. And so here you see a little boy, and he sits in front of the window, and he is just like visualizing what he is going to be doing when he grows up. And he can see it. And if you can see it, it's yours. Believe. And we had to instill a sense of belief inside of our children, inside of our people, to have a better life living on the farm. And also back in the day when we were enslaved, we had to believe that there was a better life waiting on the other side for us. Believe. The next piece we have is called Release. Now, I did a series of many different people. I did Hope, I did New Beginnings, and then I did Release. So many people, they do buy the artworks in set. Release is also a limited edition. The original has been sold. And as with Believe, which was the one that you were looking at prior, I embellished the hair, meaning that I actually made it look like real hair by using yarn and also throwing in the different colors that are present in the sky. So with Release, I did a similar process. And here we sit, a young woman, and she's just looking out. And whatever it is that she's been troubled about, she's releasing that. And she's freeing herself, similar to how the birds are also freeing themselves. Release. And once you release, what you are actually doing is opening yourself up for all the goodness that will come to you. And if you hold on to it, you will be blocking yourself. So release is something very important that each and every one of us should continue to do throughout the rest of our lives. Next, we have a palmetto rose. And so I did not actually make this rose. Someone else had made it, but we felt like it identified well with the Gullah culture. As you know, in Charleston and various places in the coastal area, you'll see the palmetto rose. It is believed, and back in the day, many of the women, they made the roses for their husbands or boyfriend as they were going off to war as a token of good luck. If they returned with the rose, then they knew that everything was fine and that they were safe. The palmetto rose also in the Charleston area, the Charleston city market, many of the people, they make the roses, particularly the young children. And one of the things that we're doing, we're partnering up with many of the youth in Charleston to have them to make the palmetto rose. And by doing so, this would also help to give back to the community, and also, more importantly, to preserve the Gullah culture. Also, with the palmetto rose, what would end up happening is that many of the loved ones would go to the gravesite and they would place real roses or flowers on the loved one's grave. But over a period of time, of course, the roses or the flowers would die out. And so they started to say to themselves, what can we do to help to preserve the longevity of the flowers? And so this is how the palmetto rose did come about. And so now the palmetto roses are everlasting. You put them out there for them. People have them inside of their home. And the only thing that changes might be the color from green to sort of like a tan, a light tan color. But it's everlasting as love is the palmetto rose. Next, we have a prayer house, which is synonymous to the church, except in a smaller dimension in terms of size. This piece is called Closer to the Stars. It is believed that the stars are one of the highest forms of self, and some people may call it God. It is believed that when you go to church or when you go to the prayer house, that you are moving closer to God. And where I'm from, which is Lake City, South Carolina, we did have a lot of these little prayer homes. People would come in, they would worship, and the place seemed like it was shaking. And you could see in the picture in the background a red truck is coming in. But again, we're very religious, but yet more spiritual than anything else. And the coming together of all the different people, it made a difference in the lives of the Gullah people, closer to the stars. This is a limited edition. As we continue to cruise throughout this 3D exhibition, you'll note that to the left there is a basket that is on the wall. And this is just a clip art just to show you the beautiful work that many of the basket weavers have done. I haven't done this myself. I only did the artwork, but not the basket weaving. So as we continue to peruse through the 3D exhibition, we can also take you to the video, which you see to the left. And I had a exhibition. This was at the Penn Center Museum. And note that what I am discussing also correlates to what you see on the right-hand side, which is reaching back to wisdom. It's the name of the piece. Now, reaching back to wisdom, you'll note that there is a beautiful woman who is in the center with a yellow dress on. And in the center is the Sankofa bird. Out of the west coast of Africa, there is a symbol, and that symbol is a Sankofa bird. The bird is always looking back with an egg in its mouth. The eggs represents the seed, meaning the children, and basically the children should always look back to thank the ancestors for paving the way for them to have a better life. The ancestors are all around her. She is pregnant, and there are many different offerings to her, like the lady to the right has the quilt. You have another to the left with a fruit basket, and you have other ancestors who are all around her. They know that the baby that she's going to be having is going to be a very significant baby, a very prominent baby, and they're giving her all the love and all the support. Behind her is a big tree. And coming from the tree, you'll see the Spanish moss. Now, the Spanish moss, it carries all kinds of medicinal purposes. For starter, The Spanish moss can also be used as a tea, and that tea is good for upper respiratory problems like a cough or a cold or a flu. And this is a practice that is being used today where a lot of people would put the Spanish moss, clean Spanish moss in the bottom of your shoes, and this would also help to lower the high blood pressure. Also, if they had like a bad winter and all the grass had died out, they would also use moss to feed the livestock to keep them going. Notice that in the picture there are shooting stars that are coming from all different directions, and this is the power of this woman and also the power of the baby that she's giving life to, reaching back to wisdom. Sun rays. Sun rays is the name of this piece. Sun rays. The sun has always played a very pivotal role in the Gullah culture. We would look to the sun as a star. Sun rays is the name of the piece. Sun as in SON, because it is the sun who is raising the father awareness about the importance of quality time. So before the father can become the son, he must learn from his son. And what is it that we learn from our children? We learn about the solace of life. If you love me, then you will spend time with me. If you don't, then we got a problem. And also, the sunflower, notice that the sunflower also looks like the sun. And depending on the direction of where the sun is coming from, that is how the sunflower will flow. In the center of the sunflower, off the picture, you will see a beautiful plant. And that plant that you see here is called the rice plant. This is how it looks. It looks like the sun. I have another piece and it's called Carolina Gold, and we'll talk more about that a little bit later. But rice has all kinds of medicinal purposes, and we really wanted to show you how the rice plant looks. One of the ways in which rice can heal you, if you are under a lot of stress, you get a container, it could be a bowl, and what you do is you stick both hands into that bowl and you just let the rice come right in between your fingers. And so by doing so, you're de-stressing yourself. And once you get through with that, you throw it away. Do not dip it twice, only dip it once, because if you dip it again, you're putting that negative energy back into the bowl. That is probably the reason why rice works so well when you end up losing your phone into the toilet or into the sink and it get water into it. And if you put the phone into the rice, it pulls all of that water out of it. And so it gives you a lot of nutrients. It's good for weight loss. You can eat rice by itself. You can eat it with meat or with different kinds of vegetables. And so rice is a very important plant. Right beside the rice plant is a picture called Hope. Remember Release when I had talked about her? Well, Hope was first, and and then I said Release. Hope is about a little girl who hears the chirping sound of the bird. And so she rushes from her bed and she goes to the window and she sees the two lovebirds. And within that instant, she realizes that she's going to have a very promising and very loving future. And of course, you see the sun. It is always in a lot of my picture, the sun or the moon, because it gives us so much energy. It gives us so much hope. It raises our vibration, especially around the full moon, the new moon, the blue moon, and also the pineapple moon as well. Hope. And this is a open edition and it's also for sale. And let me remind you again, anytime you want to learn more about the picture, All you have to do is tap on it, look to the right, look for the I, which means information, and it will give you all of the information that you want to know about the piece, the dimension, the size of it, also the price of it as well. This piece is called Rain. Now, we're still talking about rice. In the background, the son, the father, they're hitting the rice plant up against the ground in order to get it off. Whereas the mother, she is churning the rice in order to get the husk off. And so you notice that it comes up almost like a cone. And this is one way of getting all the husk off of the rice. Again, medicinal purposes, comes from the rice. Again, it has a lot of nutrients to it as well. Notice the sun is in the background, is providing her with the energy that they need. Also, the vitamin D that is also needed as well. The rice plants are all around her. Rain. And the reason why it's called rain, you've heard of the rain stick where rice is placed inside of a stick, you shake it up, and it sounds like rain. And also, if you put rice in a bag and if you were to shake it up, it does have the sound like rain. And the formation of it is like rain too, as well. The next piece that we'll be looking at is called, it's called Carolina Gold. Carolina Gold. This piece won a national award in Hilton Head exhibition. I was the featured artist, and they're in the rice field. And some would say, why would they call it Carolina Gold? Well, remember when I showed you the plant and how golden it looked? That was one reason. And also, rice was the number one crop. Rice was first, cotton was second. A lot of people, they may have thought that cotton was first, but really it was rice. Rice brought more money to this economy than any crop. It made this country very rich. It brought in billions of dollars off of the sweat and off of the backs of the ancestors. And this is the way that they had to do it. And sometimes, they didn't make it out of the field because in some rice field, the water would be up to their neck. Many of them died of malaria. And also, you had the water moccasin too, so some of them did not make it out of the rice field. But Carolina Gold is the name of the piece. Gathering Precious Waves is the name of this piece. And they're in the tobacco field. So, Gathering Precious Waves, the reason why it's called Gathering Precious Wave, for two reasons. Number one, is the movement of the people going up and down, suckering the tobacco and also getting off the worms. Suckering is a process where there are impurities that grow between the full tobacco plant. If you don't eradicate it, it can overtake the full tobacco plant. So you have to do this every couple of days, maybe every 2 to 3 days, because it grows extremely fast. And also, the waves are the way the movement of the tobacco plant flows in the wind. Tobacco also carries a lot of healing properties. Some of the healing properties of the tobacco would be if you were to take the leaf and let's say you had a cut or a bruise, and what you would do is you would rub it over the affected area and it would get rid of it instantly. And so you could also chew tobacco, not in this format, but some people, after it has been cured out, some people would also chew the tobacco and they would rub it over the affected area. Whenever my mother had a toothache, and she was not a smoker, but if she had a toothache, she would actually chew the tobacco or she would smoke the tobacco in order to get rid of the pain. And we have soft landing. I come from a very large family, a family of 21 brothers and sisters. And of course, 15 of us survived, 6 were stillborn. I'm the last set of the 15 who survived. And so I'm also the one at the very top of the bale of cotton. So we're in the cotton field. This is a bale of cotton in the foreground. In the background, you have the elders who are picking the cotton. Sometimes we would tie the bale of cotton, the adults, on a tree. You would leave it in various parts of the field. You would also put it in a wagon. And then someone would come along and they would haul off the wagon as well. And so to me, when I was in that field and being so young, we thought that this was play. We had no idea that it was a lot of work. But the guy in the red shirt, he has an inkling, and he's just saying to himself, okay, you wait. Wait until you grow up, and you're going to see just how much fun it really is. And after growing up, I started to see that, this is not so much fun, and this is some serious back-breaking work. But cotton carries all kinds of medicinal purposes. The seed of a cotton can be used as a tea, similar to Spanish moss. It's good for upper respiratory problems like a cough or a cold or a flu. It can also soothe an aching stomach. You can also use cottonseed oil. It removes blemishes and it also wrinkles. And then also, back in the day, the tea could also increase the breast milk for a nursing mom. And although this part that I'm getting ready to tell you is not a medicinal purpose, but um, but cotton is also used in the currency. At least 75% of the cotton or the currency is made from cotton. The other part is linen. And so you see that cotton is very, very powerful. And you can also get honey from cotton because cotton is a flower. And so once you put it in the right state, it can do very much for yourself. And then, of course, we know that honey is also medicinal too as well, because it can also cure colds. And there are some people who believe that honey itself can also cure certain types of cancer. Soft landing. This is the original, by the way. The original is 46 by 60. I did use a lot of the real cotton from the field in order to complete this piece. It did won in Charleston third place in an international competition, so I was very happy about that. Next, we're proceeding to the risks of the roots. It was based off of a dream. This is a limited edition. The original has been sold. In the dream, the tree was a two-tone color. It was purple and gold. And as you know, they are spiritual colors. And it also brings about a certain kind of prosperity and wealth. Now, on the tree, you'll note the red leaves. And you also will note that there's a lot of Spanish moss. The same medicinal purposes that I had talked about before applies to this particular piece as well. And I'll get more into talking about why it's called the Spanish moss. In the dream, there were 4 children. And so this is the Obama family, but everybody is a child in this piece. And so the youngest daughter is sitting on the top of a branch, and she has made a home. And she'll be the one to preserve the culture, and she'll pass along that knowledge. The oldest daughter is collecting moss for medicinal purposes, of which we have discussed. Michelle Obama has a gold container of rice. And of course, in the Gullah culture, we got a thing for rice. Obama is sitting on the root, but yet he is the root, and we are the branches, so we are an extension. Right above Michelle's head is the beehives. And Michelle says, if the bees die, we die. So the risks of the roots, the risks that the ancestors took in order to get us here was a heavy burden to bear. And also in the dream, there were colors that were present that man has yet to discover. But the name alone, Spanish moss, where did that name really come from? I'll tell you. The name Spanish moss, when the Spanish settlers were in the coastal area, the French people took a look at the Spanish men beard and said, Spanish beard. It was also called Spanish hair. And so the French were kind of like making fun or making a mockery out of the Spanish beard people. And so the Spanish people did come back with a French name for them, like French hair. But it was the French who had won over the name of the tree, or at least Spanish moss tree. And so that's where the name Spanish moss comes from. And we touched upon Sankofa when we talked about the bird, which, by the way, is a symbol for, you know, looking back to wisdom, the children being the seed. So this is where the name for this one comes from, Sankofa, seeds. And you see 5 children resting up against a car, and they're ready to take that picture. And in the background, you see the barn, the trees, and the grass. And our children are the seed, and what we feed that seed and how we nourish the seeds will depend on what we will get back in return. And so we are our children's first teacher. We are. This is, by the way, an open edition. So if you were interested in buying the Sankofa seeds or any of the works that we have in the 3D healing exhibition, you could get them on paper, you can get them on canvas. Just let us know. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, that concludes our exhibition. And we do have a bid piece that is up, and it's called "The Heart of the Sea." Yimaya is the heart of the sea. It's called The Heart of the Sea, which will also be the name of another exhibition, a live exhibition that I will be doing in public at the Maritime Museum, which is located in Savannah, Georgia. And this will be sometime in September, and I'll keep you abreast of what's going on. The Heart of the Sea is this piece. It's a 30 by 40 for a limited edition, because that's what it comes in. For 300 is the starting bid. We've already had a couple of people chopping away at it. The original price, if interested in it, is 1,400. So you can get this piece for 300. So you're saving yourself a lot of money. And it has the impressions of the real shells, the real fishnet all around it as well. So this would be a lovely piece for you to have in your home. The Heart of the Sea. And again, we have her on the wall, the original. The original is also up for sale, The Heart of the Sea. So this concludes the 3D Gullah Healing exhibition. I hope that you had a lot of fun. And if you're ever in the Savannah area, check out me at my gallery, and it's called Sabree's Gullah Art Gallery. And my daughter and I are business partner, and so we welcome you to come out to our gallery. Hope you had a lot of fun.